Hello, every pony! As I promised you, here is coming up with Nightlife. This is Nightlife coming up to you with smacking you in the face with Chapter 16 of Fallout Equestria Project Horizons. This chapter is called Walk the Hard Road. I know it sounds ominous, but this chapter is oozing with awesome. Now, let's go. What are we gonna do? We're gonna run! P-21 was alive? P-21 was alive! He was pissed, but he was alive. No bomb around his neck. No bruises or bloody marks. No burns or bullet holes. He was alive. Okay. And pissed off at little old me. He was alive, okay? And pissed off at little old me. I laughed as I scrambled off the bed, startling the pair of them as I hugged him happily. You're alive! Oh, thanks, Celestia. Get off me. Blackjack, he said with his, he scowled as he kicked at me. I looked at his cheek, and his scowling face snapped an expression of shock. Ew, Blackjack, stop it. Stop it. I fell back onto the ground, laughing like I hadn't laughed, well, ever. He frowned down at me, wiping his cheek as I lay on the carpet. You are so random. Pinkie Pie reference. For some reason that made me laugh even harder. I had tears in my eyes from laughing so hard. U-21, the scrawny unicorn buck, scrawny from years of being locked up in a room by mares, I reminded myself, watched this display with utter bafflement. Now, if you'll be a good little mare, I wasn't paying much attention. He was alive. P-21 was probably going to kill me, but at least I'd be able to do what was right. To do better. Ahem. Ahem. We're going to step outside, and his tan eyes twitched as he stomped his hooves. Will you stop laughing? I have a detonator, you know. I stopped laughing, but not smiling, as I looked up at U-21. The brown unicorn resumed his nasty smile. Now, you're going to walk nice and easy along the Sunset Highway until we meet up with Deus. If you try anything at all, I'll blow your head off. And this detonator's on a dead pony's trigger. If I let go for any reason, and you're a headless horse. He rose and started for the door. Distinctly, I heard the rain start to pour again. Good old soggy Hoovington. And just like that, I thought about his demand, his collar, and his detonator, and just cackled. Oh, don't be stupid. I'm not going anywhere with you. I said as I wiped my tears, still hiccoughing. Hiccoughing? Oh well, with the occasional laugh. U-21 stared at me. Cunt! You've got a bomb around your neck, and I've got my hoof on the trigger. You're going to do exactly what I say, or maybe it was a word. Maybe it was a rush of seeing. Maybe it was a rush I was feeling from seeing P-21 again. Could have been that a few hours ago I was inches away from being eaten by a giant tainted abomination. That a few hours before that my heart had stopped, or that a few hours before that I'd been shot through the left side of my chest with a beam weapon. Regardless, I felt a dangerous little lucidity that brought U-21 and his detonator into my complete attention. Or fucking what? You're going to kill me? I rolled to my hooves, laughing at this as well. Maybe you didn't get the memo, but I'm dead already. All you'd be doing is saving me from the discomfort of mutating into some freak before dying of taint. P-21's eyes widened and U-21's jaw dropped. You suicidal moron! The unicorn started to stammer as I grinned at him. And now that I think of it, blowing my head off might kill me, but it would completely fuck you. You work for Deus, right? Deus, the Reaper I shot with artillery. Deus, the Reaper who wants to invent whole new methods of mayhem to try out on me. I would just love to see what he does to you when you tell him you cheated him out of his revenge. I said with glee. That's not. He wouldn't. U-21 muttered as he stared from as he stared from me to P-21 and back again. "You're insane!" I laughed again. "I'm insane? Trust me, you have no idea." I snickered and rubbed my chin with my hoof before pointing it at him. Come to think of it, Deus wouldn't be the only one pissed not to kill me. And I've got an entire family of bounty hunters after me. Ever heard of them? The Zodiac family? And I just know that there'd be entire hordes of bounty hunters all over Hoofington who'd be mighty put out with a brown unicorn cheating them out of their hopes and dreams. I stomped a hoof, making him jump. Especially if you actually collect on the bounties and had thousands and thousands of caps in your pockets. Those are some big pockets. P-21 looked on in worry as the brown unicorn waved the detonator in my face like it was some kind of magic charm to drive me off. This is the most awesome point of the entire story, I tell you what. I pushed it aside, moving my grinning face even closer to his. "You're wearing a bomb! That's crazy! You're crazy!" He sat down on his rump, his weak focus making the detonator shake. "Crazy?" I threw back my head, cackling. "I've been past beer by friggin' hallucinations. Don't you tell me what crazy is." I laughed, defiantly, definitely feeling past the edge. The Enclave might be okay with you killing me, but after what I did to their Vertibuck, I'm pretty sure they'd be pissed for you cheating them out of the chance to interrogate me with their newest death plague, or the chance to feed me limb by limb to a bunch of raiders," I said as I stepped even closer to him, my eyes wide and staring. Oh, if only I had some rad poisoning right now. Though I imagine my natural red eyes were bright enough. U-21 was shaking head to hoof, and was apparently so unsure of his telekinesis that he transferred the detonator to his hooves to keep the trigger down. And that's not to mention what my friends would do to you. I'd helped out a few ponies in the hoof, and I'm pretty sure that some of them wouldn't mind getting some payback on my behalf. Dusty trails, bottle cap, and potentially every fallen filly you pass might want to put a bullet in you. Then there's Rampage. Has Deus mentioned Rampage? Bella Reaper actually wants me alive for her own plot or scheme or amusement? And if she doesn't, you can spend every second of the rest of your life wondering when morning glory is going to vaporize you from above at the speed of light. Have you ever been sniped with a beam rifle? Have you? I shouted as I opened my barding to show the puckered scars. "'Cause I have!" "Blackjack," P-21 said in a warning tone as U-21 shrank back against the wall. "But what's really funny to me, really, really funny, is that P-21 would put a bomb on me and hand you the button. Cause if there's going to be any pony in all of Equestria, and all of the bloody fucked up world that has the goddess given right to blow my head off, it would be him." And I magically seized the detonator and yanked it into the air, shaking it at him. "See this? This does nothing. P-21 is too smart to give you the real trigger." "Blackjack, that is the detonator." P-21 shouted in alarm. I blinked. I looked at him and the hovering trigger before me. "It is?" That brought me back down to the earth. Well, closer anyway. Well, I hadn't expected that. I sat down hard, looking at the mechanism that could take my head off with the release of the trigger. I scratched my mane vigorously and looked at him. Oopsie on that last one. We only had one detonator, B-21 said with a sigh, rubbing the back of his head. U-21 had decayed into a hiccoughing fit, and by the smell coming from him, I knew the housekeeping wouldn't be happy with me. He pissed himself. And it's hard to read a magazine and keep that little tab held down all the time. "Huh," I said as I trod over to my bags, dug out a roll of duct tape, and taped the trigger down. I tossed it to the blue pony. "There you go. You can pull the tape off later if you want," I said. "You are crazy," U-21 muttered. "Probably," I chuckled, still smiling. I rummaged a bit and pulled out a bottle of wild Pegasus. I looked around the suite and found 3 coffee cups. Okay, they weren't shot glasses, but they were better than nothing. I poured 2, then to the P-21 as he watched me, a touch wary. "Want one?" Okay, I'm gonna take a short break here. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna take a short break. All right. Okay, I am back, everybody. I had to take a short break to take care of something. Don't ask any further. I won't explain it to you. So let's get right back into it, shall we? Where were we? You are crazy. No, we did that. What one? He put the detonator on the table beside him, shaking his head. He looked conflicted. Could I blame him? I levitate one cup over to you, 21. Here, have a drink, then go in the bathroom and clean yourself up. Then we'll talk. The cup shook between his hooves as he gaped at me. I took I took a drink as I looked at him with a smile. Now that he wasn't making stupid demands, I felt a little bad for the brown unicorn. I was responsible for some shit in his life one way or another. He took his cup into the wet bathroom and closed the door behind him. I glanced at the stain and wrinkled my nose in it. Wrinkled my nose. Was I that scary? A little bit, yeah. Didn't help that he was so sure that the collar threat would work. The heck is in my main? Oh, okay. One second. Up. Looks like I got a little news flash. Okay, it looks like Ninja Moonshine 7 wants me to read My Little Dashie. Man, I was hoping y'all wouldn't call me on that. Oh well. You see, I've already heard, I think it was Mike the microphone. I've already heard him read My Little Dashie. And I know I'm gonna cry so much. And, yeah, I'll get right to it after I finish this chapter up. So, newsflash over. Probably. I chuckled. Alright. Yeah. He took his cup into the bathroom with a closed door. Yeah. A little bit. Oh, wait. Here we are. A little bit. Yeah. Didn't help that he was so sure the collar threat would work. P21 said evenly as he looked at me. You seem... I twitched my ear, wondering if I was better or worse. Different, he concluded, looking at my chest wound. You've been through a lot while we were separated. I sighed and took another drink. I couldn't stop smiling. I should have sobbed and hugged his hooves. I should be sobbing and hugging his hooves, begging him for forgiveness. Not just me, Glory too. The Enclave betrayed her, branded her a Dashite, and to discredit her when we found out they were making some plague weapon. Goddesses, P21 shook his head. When he went rolling away after that little speech at the mine, I wasn't sure he'd come looking for me. You're my friend, I replied with a smile. A friend who had every right to kill me. I think it's a rule. If you get separated from a friend, you have to move hell and high water to get back to them. I wasn't sure I still was after what I pulled, he replied. At the mine, I mean. I know why you did, I said softly as I looked into the cup and felt some tears start to creep. Justice. I just didn't think about what that meant. I finished off my cupful with a sad smile so I wouldn't have to see that look on my face. Oh yeah. I've been doing a lot of that lately. Thinking, I mean. Must have hurt, he said with a snort, but his hard look softened as I smiled at him. I hoped it reached my eyes. It did. A lot. If you tried this a few hours ago, I probably would have cut my own head off to save you the trouble. I told him about going to chapel, waiting for him to arrive. Then Sakashi's arrival and the encounter with Virgo. I got to where you two were attacked and knew I needed Glory. I can't figure out a rescue to save my life, or save a kitty mark. Excuse me. He looked at me in confusion. When the bathroom door opened and U-21 stepped out, he looked at me as if fearing I'd bite his head off or something. A few minutes ago, I might have. Hey, want some more? I asked, lifting the bottle of whiskey and swirling it. His eyes flicked from P21 and to me and then back again. What's the matter with her? Why is she being nice? What kind of sick game is this? He demanded, pointing a hoof at me. I chuckled and made him wince. Let's just say he caught me in a really good mood. If you want to go, though, I won't stop you. I poured a little more whiskey into my cup. After a moment of hesitation, U-21 nodded for a refill as well. If you don't mind me asking, what happened after you were taken? I asked P-21. Don't tell her. It's a sneaky trick. U-21 mustered as he flushed. But P-21 just shook his head. She's not capable. She's not capable of sneaky tricks. Okay, I'm sorry. Kind of beaten down just a little bit at the thought of reading My Little Dashie, because it's such a heartbreaking story. I mean, I plan to be a father someday, and that would be my worst nightmare. But it was requested, so I shall read it, even if the person requested it withdraws their request. I'm still gonna freaking read it. Can't take it back now, bitch. Oh well, it's got some good parts in there too. Yeah, hell, I might just read the writer of the approved sequels to make myself feel better. Alright, he sighed and looked out the windows. When the Enclave attacked, we ran. They didn't pursue. There was some talk of trying to find Sakashi, following the rail lines, or trying to intercept you between the tracks and flank. He gave a crooked grin as he looked at the brown unicorn. I thought I might have mentioned that it'd be a very bad idea to follow you, given you'd be in a bad mood when we found you. You're right, I replied, as my maudlin feelings spread. Maudlin, yeah. I never would have had time to think about things if he had. I would have continued on like an idiot, ignorant of my crimes against him. Finally, we made our way here to meet up with Deus and the rest of the hunting parties. Since there were 10 of us, it took us a lot longer than I expected. He'd been rounding up bounty hunters for his band. Meanwhile, U-21 here, he said with an even stare at the brown unicorn, spent every free minute trying to remind me of everything I wanted to forget. We arrived just after you torched the factory, and then we followed you up here. I heard you mention an orb, and we waited a bit, knocked, and picked the lock when you were out. Oh, it was a pretty good lock, but not good enough. He added with a little smirk. I gotta know, what was the plan if I didn't have an orb? We were all gonna pony pile in and tackle you. U-21 muttered and into his coffee cup. Use my rope trick to tie you up and throw on the collar. I winced. Do you have any idea how bad I've hurt you? I suspected they didn't know about my little look at you and explode your unarmored face trick. It doesn't matter anymore, he slurred. Deus is done with me. When he thought I might be able to lead him to you, I had a little protection, but I'm done now. This was my last chance. He fell on his face, burying his hooves. I'm so fucked. I'm so sick of getting fucked over by every pony. Join the club, I said softly, feeling that warm buzz slowly cooking my brain. For what it's worth, U-21, I'm sorry. Huh? He sniffed, rubbing his eyes. But what happened in Stable 99? I used you. I did you a wrong. I'm sorry for that, I said, closing my eyes as I leaned backwards on my rump and pressed myself against the mattress. Head tilted back. I'm so tired of feeling guilty all the time. Most of it I can live with, but every time I think back to Stable 99, I just hate myself. Worse than Deus or the Overmare or any pony. And it doesn't matter that the rules said it was okay. A part of me knew it was wrong. I always did. I guess I forgot to remember not to think about it. I forgot to remember to forget. U-21 looked at me in amazement. He probably never expected to hear those words. He looked down at his hooves. I'm sorry. Ever since I left 99. I rocked forward, with a curious frown. What did happen after you left 99? I asked, feeling giddy, thoughts turned around the simple curiosity at the knowledge that I'd soon have a talk with P-21 about what I'd done. How'd you run into Deus? Did you meet Sanguine? Sanguine? I think it's Sanguine. I asked as I scratched my itchy mane. He began when there was a knock at the door. We looked curiously at each other. Yes, who is it? I shouted. Room service. We have a gift for security from Caprice. A young mare said brightly from the other side of the door. I sighed and shook my head, scratching my mane vigorously in annoyance. Probably a fruit basket full of dash. I stood as I muttered. I muttered as I stood. Wait, it might be Deus' ponies. We left them outside town. Each one said as he walked through the door. I stepped aside, levitating the 12 gauge and loading it as I stepped back. 1 second. Why hadn't I picked up ammo from the exchange or fresh healing supplies or fresh healing potions from Scalpel? Excuse me. Or fresh healing potions from Scalpel. The brown unicorn glanced up at me and then slowly pulled the door open, peeking through. He relaxed and opened the door fully. 2 white unicorns stood behind the food cart loaded with fresh, delectable treats. It must have cost a few hundred caps at least. That looks good, E21 muttered. The unicorns were identical twins, brilliant white with deep red eyes. They had the absolute cutest smiles and wore faded hotel uniforms I'd seen below. Their horns glowed as they pushed the cart in. Courtesy of Caprice, they said. U21 was looking at the fresh apples. I was looking at the mare's eyes. Those weren't the eyes of innocence, and the cart wasn't glowing. Oh shit. Go Blackjack. Go Blackjack. Get down! I shouted as 2 SMGs floated up from behind the food cart and strafed the room in a full storm of automatic fire. I jumped forward, sliding across the carpet and slamming my hooves into the food cart. It hurled towards the twins. As their uniforms dropped through them? What? I watched in amazement as the cart passed right through the unicorns and back into the hallway, slamming it against a green buck who raided a large rifle. He carried a large duffel bag draped across his back. Surprise! Said one of the ghostly mares as the two brought their guns around back to bear. Guns I couldn't see through. Their afraid unicorns had been caught by the cart and dragged part of the way into the hallway. I slammed the door closed, knocking the twins' SMGs into the hallway. The mares might be intangible, but their weapons weren't. No fair, they said, stepping literally back through the door. I'm sorry, but I happen to be a Gemini. I love these mares. Like, no shitting. The twins shit, right? Probably why I like Pinkie Pie and Fluttershy, because they have that twin personality thing going on, and hidden personality trait. Fucking love that shit. Is every pony all right? I asked, looking at P21 getting out from behind the bed. U21. Oh no. He slumped, a line of red holes running between his neck and chest. You do have a lot of enemies. He hiccuped and choked, blood dripping out of his mouth as I knelt and held him upright. Yeah, I do, I said lamely, wishing that I could trade my bullet spell for something actually worth a damn. His eyes stared at me as his chest bubbled with horrible sucking sounds. Not me, right? No, not you. I'm sorry, U21. Not your. He began to say, then gritted his teeth as a spasm rocked his body. He looked sad. Then his eyes went wide with panic. He opened his mouth, coughed a great deluge of blood, and drew a raspy breath. Project shy mare. And with that, his body began to relax. Sleep, hush now, quiet now. It's time to lay your sleepy head. I'm gonna start being creepy now. Project Chimera. What did he say? B21 asked as he looked over at the unicorn's limp form. Something mysterious that will probably nag at me for days, I said with a sigh. Then looked at P21 with a smile. Assume I lived that long, I added. A white mirror's face poked through the wall. Her bright red eyes narrowed in glee as she grinned at me like a ghost. Hi, don't suppose you can hold still for a second? I raised a shotgun and blasted her smirking features. The wall behind was her peppered with holes. She looked at me indolently. Thanks. P21 charged at me and knocked me to the side as a hoof-sized hole appeared in the walls, and a thunderous detonation came from the far side of the door. Whoa. The little ghost's head started trying to find a better firing position. Stop moving around. Stop moving around, please. It's actually very hard to aim through walls. Who are these ponies? P21 asked as I tried shooting her in the face again. I hoped that I was at least distracting her. A hope that grew a bit when the next blast was not accompanied by me or P21 exploding. Who are you? Are you a Deus? Enclave? Is there some pony else after my head? I shouted as another round cut through the wall, missing me by inches. Gemini Zodiac, at your service. I'm Gem. That's my sister Minnie. There was another shot through the wall, another near miss. She rolled her eyes. And that is our brother Taurus. Pleased to meet you. She gave me an apologetic look. I'm very sorry about all this, but please stop moving around. This will be much more pleasant for every pony involved if you stop. The other unicorn stopped halfway through the wall. Will you hurry up? Flank security is on its way. Is already on its way. She looked at me, wearing an expression identical to that on her sister's face. Sorry about killing you, but really, you should have just given your pip up to Leo. Should have. He ambushed me and shot through me instead of a small army on me. I shouted as the second intangible pony proved as bullet immune as the first. Two more high-powered rounds punched through the faces of the ponies as they kept following my movements with their heads. This is taking way too long, the second wall said. The second step back through the wall. Taurus, plan boom. I like that plan. I don't know what it is, but I like that plan already. Because it's named Plan Boom. How is that not a good plan? It's Plan Boom. I am I am a mad bomber, if you could not tell. The other sister's eyes opened wide, and she too disappeared. Did you say Plan B or Plan Boom? I asked P21 as his look confirmed my fears. We grabbed our bags, went to the bathroom. We ran to the bathroom. The iron tub was half full of tepid water. We jumped in the large basin and pulled our bags atop us. Plan Boom was a missile punched through a hole that one of the shots had blasted through the door. The boarded over windows blew out as shrapnel and debris had a frog in my throat, sorry. Tore through the small suite. The shockwave made the tub break free of its fittings, and the busted pipes began to spray water. I looked down at P21 and muttered, "You know, when I imagine this reunion, there's a lot more tears and a lot fewer explosions." I bet. I'll bet. Is there a plan? I'm not sure, I muttered and rocked the tub. You got grenades, right? U21 and the others didn't exactly trust me enough to let me walk around with a lot of high explosives. He replied. Then reached under his bushy tail and pulled out a metal apple with a bright green stripe around it. Oh, that's gotta... No, wait. Considering that he's a, colt coddler? Yeah, I suppose he's like on the bottom or something. Oh well. He's got experience fitting large... I bet he has experience fitting objects with a large diameter up there. Yeah. 1 second, I'm gonna have a snack. So yeah, I'm a bit like Blackjack. I like them all. But sorry, ladies. Sorry, fillies and colts. I'm taken. I don't want to know how you hide stuff back there, I said, but at this point I wasn't complaining. A mare poked her head through the door. Oh, shoot. Sorry about that. Thought I'd get you with one shot. Hold on a second. And she disappeared again. Taurus, hit the bathroom, she called out. I grabbed the edge of the tub and flipped it over, pulling P21 underneath and pulling down with as much magic as I could manage. The entire tub ran like a bell, a dent bending the middle of it. I had no idea what green meant. Think we got him? I sure hope that pit bug is intact. One mare said from the outside. Yeah, those things are indestructible. There's a reply trailing off. Are they hiding under the tub? P21 lifted the edge as I looked over at the two pairs of ghostly hooves and tossed out the grenade. He doesn't learn, one began to comment before both screamed. There was a bright green flash, and then nothing. They screamed. You know what that means? Yes. What'd I do? I asked as I lifted the tub to see this smoldering room. Something in the entire floor began to groan and tilt. And as stout as its construction had been, clearly it had drawn the line. With a groan, oh, my sinuses. And with a groan and pop, the side of the floor, the side facing the floor began. The side of the floor facing the door gave way. As it collapsed, the tub tilted upright again, thanks to having lost its legs, and started to slide along its curved bottom at picked up speed. While it went speeding down the slope, as the large green buck standing by the door just watched, a missile launcher in his jaw. The tub rocked through the door at the bottom at door of the room a floor below, sliding along the hallway, then down a flight of stairs as we held on for dear life. Oh my gosh, that's gotta be so fun. The cast iron squealed across the cracked foyer tile as the scrambling security ponies froze in their tracks, watching as we slid past the front door of rooms. Slid past and out the front door of rooms. We juddered down the front steps and into the rainy street before the tub came to a rest. Ah, you don't see that every day. I panted in time with my blue friend. Ooh. And as our eyes staring into each other's, oh my, before he swallowed and demanded, how did you just do that? I'm pretty sure if I knew how I did it, it couldn't be done. Go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Blackjack. I said with a chuckle. Blackjack's gonna get a lot of that in this chapter. You can just tell. Oh, and for y'all's information, this is the final chapter. Oh wait, let me make sure. This is. I'll tell you later. I said with a chuckle as he tried to stand. The cast iron tub tipped over, spilling us out onto the cracked asphalt. I couldn't help myself. I knew I had 3 Zodiac killers after me, but at the moment I just lay there and laughed. Then some ponies started shooting at us. But yet some ponies. A lot of some ponies. Yeah, I'm only like 1/3 of the way down the page, sweet Luna. And it's only half an hour in. Oh, I can make it. The rounds pinged off the bottom of the tub, dimpling it as we ducked down behind the cover. Sorry, every pony. My mother demands that I eat what they eat, even though they're eating enchiladas and, well, let's just say I don't like refried beans. That's all I'm gonna say. So I'll be back shortly. But you won't notice it because I'm gonna pause recording. Yes. Okay, I'm back, every pony. Oh, and if you hear whining in the background, my parents somehow opened a portal to Ponyville and invited Rarity for dinner. It's spicy, and she's been whining about how hot it is. Oh well. Okay, where was I? Okay, at least 3 dozen bandits were. The rounds pinged off the bottom of the tub, dipping it as we ducked down behind the cover. I felt a sinking in my gut as I looked towards the north gate through the rain. At least 3 dozen bandits were filing through, shouting and hollering as they overran the few guards that watched that end. Most important to me, however, was one in the rear. Nobody else in Hoofton had guns quite like that. Either seeing me or sensing me, Deus shouted out across flank. His voice seemed to echo off the rain. "Cunt!" Just imagine Captain Kirk screaming, "Con!" Only instead of con, it's cunt. That's how I imagine it, at least. Yep. No other psychopath could holler vulgar terms for male genitalia quite like with that kind of eloquence. Oh, in case you didn't know, spoiler: Snape kills Dumbledore. Ha ha. "Running now!" I shouted, keeping my head low as we moved around the various rusting wagons and crates left in the middle of the 4-lane street towards the exit to the south. We ran into the bar pony from 69, crouching behind some wagons with 2 more security mares. I had to admit, I never thought body armor could be stylish and effective. She holstered a delicate-looking needle pistol and looked at me. "What the heck is going on?" "Deus Reaper's after me," I said, looking over my shoulder. "He's pushing through the north gate, and as soon as I get out the south gate, there are so many mares pointing their guns south. Bonder! Bomber now!" She hollered sidewinder with an even larger horde of Pecos ponies, pushed through the southern gate, shooting wildly and randomly. I saw a flood of local ponies rush for stable 69. Oh, this is gonna be a bloodbath, and it shall be royally epic. You know why? 'Cause Rampage gets involved, that's why. Oh, sweet Luna, Rampage is my favorite of these ponies. 'Cause she is like Russia, no? She's hard as beach, but she is good. "We need to get to the stable, right now," the bar pony said as she looked to the north. Fortunately, it looked like Deus was more interested in checking the hotel than the occupants of projectile bathtubs. But it wouldn't last. He'd tear flank apart looking for me. Glory ran from the exchange, ducking and yipping as bullets pinged around her. "Blackjack! She stared at B-21. "You're..." Then she looked at the collar around my neck. "Blackjack." "What?" She sat down hard, looking on the verge of tears. "What's going on here?" Poor Glory. No, but she's so funny. "We'll get to that in a second, Glory. Like when I didn't have 2 small armies and 3 Zodiacs after me. I need you and P-21 to get in the stable," I said briskly. "No," P-21 said firmly. "I'm not leaving either," Glory replied, equally adamant. I gritted my teeth and smacked my head against the side of the rusted wagon frame. Face ground. That reminds me of in Griffin the Brush Off when Piggy Pie dropped her funny glasses and smacked her face against the ground to put them back on. Smack. I'm gonna watch that for a second. We'll be right back. Okay, I must admit, I'm having trouble loading Google so I can actually search for My Little Dashie, and seeing as fanfiction works off oh, nope. Here it comes. So, let's go. Okay. Now, where was I? We'll get to that no, I'm not leaving either. Glory replied, equally adamant. I gritted my teeth and smacked my head. I remember that part. Of course. I didn't listen to sense or sanity. Why should they? Not unless you come too, Glory added quickly. For a moment, the thought of being in a stable, especially one that wasn't a formalized rape factory, was immediately appealing. There was one problem. I'd be trapped there. And given the Zodiacs had unicorns who could walk through walls, I wondered just how long Stable 69 would stay sealed. I can't. Deus managed to get into one stable. I doubt he'd sit out here and wait. If we're lucky, Deus and the Pecos would just kill each other. I need to keep moving till we can get out and run. Always with the running, P-21 muttered softly. Or hide, I amended quickly. Either way, not trapped where Deus knows where I am. Right, the bar pony said with a nod, and as she chewed her lip. If you can get to the top floor of the exchange, there's a group of pipes that lead over the wall. You might get out that way. I'm sorry I can't be more help. Okay, who knows who this bar pony is? Any guesses? Even in the comments if you know. I promise it won't tell this chapter. Oh, and my friend Monster Absolute Zero has a friend. Monster Original. Yes, that's right. The original green monster. If only I could get this fudging thing open. Oh well, I'll pause it for a sec. Well, that was fast. Whoa. I almost forgot how good that tasted. That's better than... I'm not gonna say that. I'm not gonna say that. Alright, right. Alright, now next page. Thanks. And tell Caprice I'm sorry for bringing her this trouble, I said as I peeked out at the Petcos and the broken rooftops of the exchange. The doors have been sealed up tight, and it being a former bank, I doubt I could just knock on them to get them to open. The bar pony just blinked at me and then smiled. Sure, no problem. And then the three of them ran quickly towards the parking garage. So, where to now? Glory asked as she suddenly scowled. And where's that psychopath when we need her? You'll see. I wondered that myself, but it wasn't as if I could do anything about it. I could only really see one direction to take, and nodded to Mixers. In there, we raced into the building adjacent to the exchange. I could only hope that there'd be a way upstairs. We just had to get clear of this mob. Oh no, the mobs! That's a reference of Minecraft for all y'all who don't know. Mixers had evidently been a club even before the war. Despite the cracks in the walls and floors and the occasional busted light, this place was in somewhat decent repair. A long bar ran along one wall, and a hovering spybot patrolled back and forth overhead. It turned and focused on me, its camera on me. Good evening, madam. What is your chem of choice? We have a house special, rain boom, for a mere 100 cups. I glanced at Glory, but she just pressed her lips together, pretending not to pay any attention. Oh, I wonder what rain boom is. Oh well, maybe I'll make a Pegasus fly. I could really use the edge at this point, but the thought of the drugs reacting with the taint in my body and the memory of crashing on the quick care floor went out in the end. For now at least. P-21 found his way upstairs. He frowned, but nodded once as I turned to the light gray Pegasus. Glory, get your beam guns ready. She nodded as well. I noticed P-21 hadn't moved yet, his eyes lingering on Glory's brands. I gave him a nudge. He looked a little abashed. Looking a little abashed, he trotted off to check the rest of the club. I scanned for something else that might help, then noted 2 yellow bars on the display. There was a strange glass booth near the ceiling, and I was stunned to see 2 earth ponies sitting behind a counter of controls and looking down at us with through their thick shades and strange metallic helmets studded with rainbow LEDs. Oh, that shit's just awesome. I need to get some of those from my club. All right. I heard the shouts of approaching the club and looked up at the pair. Can you help us get to the roof? I yelled at them. They looked at each other. Hello? Can you help? They looked back down at me and then nodded in unison as Pecos started to flood into Mixers. Suddenly, the speakers began to blast a blaring beat that stunned both the Pecos and me. Oh, it's speedcore! Their rapid-fire music pumped into the club like some sort of sonic weapon. It sure wasn't Sweetie Belle. Neon bars of light rose and fell in rainbow cascades behind their plastic casing, and beam talismans began to fill the space with flickering bars of dancing color. Excuse me. I'm terribly sorry for that. I looked up at the box, giving it a withering glare. This was help? The pair just grinned ear to ear. Oh, it's not often when Speedcore helps you win a fight. Then it was fighting time. Out came my favorite weapon as I charged the milling pecos, balking at the sudden display. The 12-gauge shot fanned into the crowd in a deadly spray as the music beat in tune with my heart. Wow. I had no idea which beams were glories and which were decoration. Neither did the peco. Whoa. I also had to admit, despite myself, that mixtures were starting to grow on me. Then my gun clicked on an empty shell, just as the bloody pecos charged me with a rusty axe clenched in her jaws. What happened to her dragon claw? Oh, I tried the explosion. I blocked the swinging with my pitbuck, looking at him in the eyes as my horn flashed and sent 2 glowing magical bullets into his face. And he went down. As he went down, I took his fire axe into my magical leap and swung it at the next closest pecos, just as he brought a sawdust shotgun to bear. I'm gonna quit doing the very bad Indian accent right now. My barring took the slug with a cracking that probably heralded another trip to scalpels, but I didn't lose my focus on the axe. One low swing and the blade of the axe knocked his legs completely out from under him. Then the axe whirled, reversed, and drove the spike and through his cowboy hat and into his skull. Ow! Ouchie. Ouchie mama. Mare screamed around the automatic pistol in her mouth as she charged, firing. I pulled the axe free as her round started to chew through my barding, then jumped into sats and queued up my attack. Time resumed as the head of my fire axe flashed out to ram into the weapon and jammed between her teeth and shoved the gun's handle all the way into the back of her throat. Ow. She gagged, struggling to pull it out. The fire axe came around and its spike punched a hole through her temple. There were more pecos coming in, but now they were hanging back near the door, keeping their distance from me as they brought automatic rifles and battle saddles to bear. I started to switch to my automatic carbine, but I still had ponies pressing in on all sides. From the look of it, the ponies at the door were just waiting for their fellows to fall before opening up on me. From the balcony overhead fell glittering death. Yeah! Dude, killer disco ball! Plunging 20 feet, Rampage landed on 2 pecos standing by the doorway. Her heavy armor crushed both of them beneath her claws as she drove them into the dance floor. That's awesome! Amara stepping in had one moment of regretting her mistake before Rampage's tail lashed around her throat, the razor wire digging in as the Reapers charged 2 ponies past Preston Glory, who had taken cover behind an overturned table and had been darting out with shots of her disintegration and beam pistols. The mare was dragging behind her. That's just gotta be hilarious. The mare was dragging along behind the Reaper till the razor wire tore through her neck and sent her head bouncing across the floor. Boing, 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 boing. I know, I got a sick sense of humor when it comes to this kind of stuff, I know. But they're in a club, kicking ass. Or no, kicking blank. How is that not awesome? Go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Rampage, go Rampage. The first bug she ducked right beneath, laying the serrated blades along her back, saw him almost in half. The other bug shot her in the head at point blank with a shotgun. I stared as I watched her eyes liquefy at the impact. Still, blind or not, she reared up and slammed her hooves down so hard he didn't just crumple from the impact, he bounced. Holy crap! This is actually making me not think about having to do My Little Dashie later on. No, and my buzz just got killed. Ooh. Oh well. Word, dang it! Okay. Yeah. She reared again, dropping her hooves to slam for him for a second and final time. Still, with a head wound like that, I used that to help guide my last axe swing into the head of a pony I was fighting, and was rewarded with a lucky hit that took his head almost completely off. Unfortunately, the luck ended when the edge of the fire axe caught in his spine, and I couldn't pull it free. No time for that now. I didn't even wait for his body to drop as I rushed towards to where Rampage stood. Her head bowed and breathing deep as she breathed deeply. Her face looked like it had been colored in synthetic strawberry jam. Only red. Isn't that usually red? Rampage? Then I saw one ruined eye pop free of its socket. Then the other. Two pale pink eyes focused on me, blinking before she wiped the bloody gore away from her with the hoof. Ugh, I hate regrowing eyes. She muttered and blinked, looking around. Aw, none left? Oh, sweet Luna, I love Rampage. You can tell I'm a sick cookie, don't you? Can't you? The pumping music had covered the noise of our fight. For the moment, we were clear. The ponies in the booth bobbed their heads to the music, but also thankfully turned it down a bit. There's a lot more. There's lots more. How did you... Ugh, no time right now. Are you going to be okay? For whatever reason, my question made her look sad. Trust me, I'm really hard to kill. You'll find out why she's sad eventually. If you can figure it out by this chapter, leave a comment. Please. Please, please, please leave comments. Please, please, I beg of you, leave comments. They show me you love me. And I love you for loving me. She said in a slurred voice before spitting out a mouthful of buckshot. Whoa, how are you? Battered but intact, I said as I looked at Glory. The small Pegasus didn't look too much worse for wear, and she drank a healing potion, then passed me one. Figured that she would think to buy fresh potions from Scalpel while I took a nap. She was starting to get good in the fight too. And why did that make me feel bad? Because her innocence is gone? Well, part of it anyways. You'll take the rest later. Oh, spoiler, Snape kills Dumbledore. Yeah. Page 21, I asked, looking around and spotting him looting the dead, picking out bullets and shells with the occasional chem potion, or weak healing potion. Better yet, most of the Pecos had a few sticks of dynamite. He's gonna be happy about that. Did you find a way out of here? Stairs behind the door. Only go to the third floor, though. He replied coolly. Good. Now, can you take my collar off and... Now, can you take that collar off and... Glory began. No. He said just as calmly as before. His blue eyes hard as glass as he looked at me. You can't, Glory started to say in disappointment. I won't. The gray Pegasus just stared at him, her lavender eyes wide. You won't? What? P21. What are you talking about? Stop messing around. I'm not messing around, he replied without the slightest raise in his voice. Glory's jaw dropped. You bastard! How could you do this? How? Do you know what she's gone through for you? To help you? I'll blow your head off right now if you don't take it off. She shouted as she started to cry. Glory, I said, stepping between them. She started to shake as I put my hoof on her shoulder. You heard the recording. You know what I did to him. She gave a tiny hiccup and her mouth worked. But, Blackjack, she whimpered. I wronged him, Glory. You know that. She shook even more as she clenched her eyes shut and I gave her a hug. I'm sorry, Glory. Rampage let out a long sigh. Oh, what kind of party is this when you're being all dramatic? Oh, too much. I mean, duh. Boring. Oh my gosh. Such a pinky. She said as she flicked a hoof full of blood at Glory, begging her jump aside and scowl at the striped mare. You three get out of here and take the Anks with you. and I'll hang around and slaughter any pony that comes in. But what about Deus? Who's afraid of who's afraid of that doofus? Any pony that can die? Oh well. She said with a snort, looking over her shoulder as she walked to the spider robot. Now you crazy kids get going. I'm pretty sure there's more on the way here, and I'm in a mood to do something reaperish. Hello, madam. What's your chem potion of choice? The spider robot asked Rampage, as Rampage put both hooves on the bar top. Her grin definitely made my mane crawl. Everything, she said with a chilling eagerness. Oh my Luna. Just wow. Okay. She's gonna kick out. She's gonna totally kick flank and take names. Okay, this little revelation into the nature of one of my companions certainly upped the creepiness factor. But I had to admit, she'd cut off Glory's and P21's argument, even if they were pissed with each other. No pony wanted to hang around with Rampage as the robot punched its needles into her limbs, and she started to giggle wildly, like a raider. P21 led the way up the stairs as her giggling became hysterical laughter. You know, I bet she got some smile with that too. Smile is basically a highly potent form of PCP that puts you in such euphoria. You just can't help but smile as you slaughter millions in one blow. The stairs led up to the third floor, to the third floor, which was apparently a flophouse for ponies looking to sleep off the after effects of their benders. A few of the rooms were still occupied by ponies too unconscious or too uncomprehending to be aware of a danger. I couldn't see them being a risk to any pony but themselves, and as we moved along the hall. Unfortunately, rubble blocked further progress up. How are we supposed to get up to the fourth floor? I asked, more to stave off the fight brewing between the two of them over my bomb collar. Excuse me. Hey, a bloomer asked in a long, strung-out voice as she stepped into the hall. Her pupils were huge, and she blinked in the meager light of the hall like it startled her. Hey, are you moon ponies? Excuse me? Glory asked nervously as the mare reached out a hoof to touch something that wasn't there. Are you alright? Ponies from the moon are coming to take me away. I'll be with Luna. She crooned as oh man, I want to be with Luna. Not in that way, you perverted ponies. She crooned as she swayed. Are you moon ponies? I do that a little too well, don't I? Yes, I am, I said quickly with a smile. But I need to get to the roof so I can use my, moon communicator. I raised my pit bug and grinned as sincerely as I could. Do you know the way up? Oh, sure. Princess Celestia will send you straight to the moon. One of these days, Alice. Crack, boom, straight to the moon. I had to do that, I'm sorry. Old reference for y'all old ponies. Like pre-G1 ponies, like that's how old. And then we'll all be with Luna. She had, I noted with a pang, a crescent moon cutie mark. No wonder she was strung out on drugs. She's a moon pony. I wanted to shake her, but I doubted it would do much good. Ah, no, the roof. We need to get up. Up to Luna. She crooned as she walked back into the room where another mare was waving a hoof at the air above her. Then the blue mare looked at us with a dreamy smile. Are you coming? Hesitantly, we followed her. We walked in and saw a portion of the ceiling had caved in. A treacherous ramp of debris, I don't know, lit up the hole. Thanks, I said as I smiled with a little guilt for misleading the high mare. Give my love to Luna and come and get me soon. I really don't like being here, she said as she fell back on the mattress, waving her hooves in the air above her. Luna, I'm gonna see Luna and live on the moon with moon ponies. Yeah, we'd all love to live on the moon, I muttered as we carefully pulled ourselves up the slope, leaving the mare to our visions. What was that all about? B-21 asked softly once we were all up on the fourth floor. Moon dust, Glory replied. Skyrim thing, Glory replied in a far more snippy tone. Scalpel was telling me about it. It's a hallucinogen. It's also very addictive, she added, giving me a sharp look as well. She glanced back down at the mares lying on the blankets, on the mares lying on their backs, waving their hooves aimlessly in the air. Who doesn't want to escape the wasteland whenever they can? I couldn't blame the mares at all. Still, I hope Rampage didn't include that when she asked for the robot to give her everything. Gloria couldn't hide her smile as she started to crawl up through the hole. Imagine Rampage on her back waving in the air, her hooves in the air like that. Rampage, Luna, I'm going to rape Luna. Or, yeah, Luna's Rule 63 counterpart. The fourth floor had been neglected for some time. The rooms were filled with heaps of junk, rusting boxes, barrels, littered dash inhalers, and empty bottles of booze. The shag carpet under our hoof squished with every step, and a tangy, coppery smell clung to everything. So much debris filled the hall that I could barely navigate through the narrow space. In many places, the plaster had all but liquefied from the moisture, showing the rusting steel and crumbling cinder block underneath. The hallway came to an abrupt end, and two heavy cabinets and desks jammed between the walls. I'm sorry, I need to take a sip. 1 second. Oh, and to every pony who was thinking about what song might have been playing at mixers, well, I have a demonstration of what speedcore is. Wait for it. Wait, it's like dubstep, you gotta wait for the drop. Wait for it. Yeah, that's probably what it was like. Yeah, thank you for tolerating that little interlude into my personal musical tastes. But that was no hesitation by the Quick Brown Fox on the album Brutal Rhythm Rider. And I play that at my club all the time, and it makes all dash heads like amazing. So yeah, you pretty much gotta be on turbo in order to like dance to that shit though. Oh well, let's go. All right, with jumping the walls, I found as I pushed and shoved a bit, but aside from squealing and with a terrible racket, they weren't budging. Maybe we can get through one of these doors. Gloria suggested with a terrible. Gloria suggested with a terrible racket. Oh yeah, Gloria suggested with a terrible racket. I jumped the line there. I am sorry. Gloria suggested as she looked behind us. Unfortunately, most of the doors were locked. Fortunately, P21 was back. In, twist, and click. I could have. Excuse me, that's intolerable. I'm so sorry. I could have screamed with how effortlessly he did it. The room inside hadn't been filled with unwanted junk, and was still relatively intact. If you could ignore a section that collapsed, of the collapsed wall that had been half covered in junk. A terminal on the back cast a sickly green glow over the interior of the room. A few decayed posters still covered the surviving wall, their surfaces warped and faded by the constant exposure to moisture and hardy mold. Oi, it is Scottish mold. It is as hardy as a Russian. Hardy as Russian. We are hard bastards. Only the best mode will go in Russia. It's more so strong it can drive nail. In Russia, we have beef so strong it drive nail. They showed four ponies standing before a large audience on a magnificent stage. P21 had gravitated to the term must do terminal. P21 had gravitated to the terminal. Oh crap! Lost my place. Had gravitated to the terminal, and while I tried to shift the steel crates holding the choking the hole in the wall. Water splashed and dripped through the hole, so I hoped we'd be able to get up another floor. Chloe searched the rest of the room. She pointedly avoided disturbing a pile of bones piled before a large, rust-pitted cabinet. From the terminal came a buzz and a crackle, followed by Mary's voice. "Made to Frankfurt. It's a big step down from Canterlot, and Manhattan, and Hoovington." The speaker gave a frustrated sigh I knew only too well. "Nobody seems willing to promote us after that charity concert last year. You were right. I should have just played nice with the Ministry of Morale, but I can't shake that they're doing it. What they're doing is wrong. The proceeds of that concert went to go to victims of the war, both pony families and zebra refugees. It wasn't as if we were trying to help the enemy. I found a place over a club. You should come see it. I'd really like it if you could see it. I'd like it if any pony could see it. I know I've never been sociable, but I would dearly like it if some pony would visit me, even write to me. It feels like I've been exiled from Equestria without a formal decree. All four of us have been blacklisted. They don't even need me at the MOL anymore, or MOI. I can only hope that I can land a job with one of the arrested ponies out here. They've got estates all over and are fans of our music. It's like they're either running for the hills or circling the wagons in Canterlot. I don't know which is a safer bet, but I can't see the zebras wasting a bale for a bomb in Frankfurt. There's got to be better things to bomb. Through the cracked window, I could make out the glowing crater to the north. Apparently not. Anyway, I know it's not your kind of music, but I've got some recordings of our last concert together. I hope you'll accept them with my apology. Your once, and hopefully future, but the recording fuzzed out at the end. I think we all know who that was and who they were talking to. If they won't, it was Alcavia talking to Vinyl. Snape kills Dumbledore. We shared a glance, and I looked to the cabinet, carefully shifting the bones to lie on the bed. I opened the door to the cabinet. The passage of years had not marred the finish of the burnished brown wood, nor rusted the strings of the beautiful instrument. The cello, or maybe it was a double bass, I couldn't tell, rested comfortably in its frame, while the interior of the doors were covered with pictures of a somber gray mare performing before a crowd of thousands. Pictures showed her cool and aloof, a bit like P21, I had to admit, but there was one large photograph that stood out from the rest. The charcoal maned pony sat beside a white unicorn with mare with electric blue hair and opaque glasses. She was licking the gray pony's cheek, and from the shock and blushing expression on the gray mare's face, it was a gesture that hadn't been anticipated. A note was written at the bottom. "Hey Octavia, lighten up, chill out, and have some fun, girl. Take care of yourself. Pawn 3. Were the music files still on the terminal? I asked P21 quietly. He nodded, and I trotted over to the device. There wasn't a way to take the instrument with us, but I could at least take the music. You eventually get that instrument, and you play it so beautifully. Spoiler alert. Snape kills Dumbledore. For all of you Potter fans that haven't watched that movie, you're so boned. I looked at the cabinet and the bones, hoping that I would remember to return and move the instrument someplace safe, rather than leaving it to eventually rot. I'm pretty sure that Octavia put part of her soul into that thing and made it a soul jar, without even knowing, probably. There were a few. Uh, I looked over the cabinet and bones. Oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. Whoa! Need to take another sip. Because every time I yawn, I take a sip. Shit gets thick in this one, y'all. I can tell you right now. Alright. There were a few books of sheet music as well, but I couldn't see much reason for bringing them. Practically, my pickpocket couldn't assign a value beyond one cat for a pre-war book. It didn't take long for me to clear out the rest of the hole. With water sloshed across the rusty debris-littered floor as rain poured through a large hole overhead. We were barely able to scramble up the slippery slope and reach the 5th floor, and only then, with me shoving P-21's rump up towards the top. We emerged onto a twisted tangle of broken concrete, rebar, and shattered glass. Whatever floors had once been above the 5th were long gone now, and worse, from the shouts above, coming from the wagon parking lot garage across next door, we hadn't found the only way up. Lightning flashed overhead. Okay, now it's officially worse. Thank you, Luna, but this is as exciting as I need to get right now. Thank you. A white bolt snapped across the sky. We need to move, now, I urged, as we picked our way through the tangle towards the exchange. Bullets began to zing, zinger, zing. The zing and whiz. Whiz. It looks like whiz. Noise. I'm gonna stop ad-libbing now. Like zinged and whizzed. Bullets. I am very sorry, but that's been annoying the crap out of me. Bullets began to zing and whiz through the air, through the pouring rain, to plink off concrete. I couldn't tell if the shooters were Pecco's or Deus's ponies, though the pouring rain, I suppose it didn't matter. Fortunately, their night vision was as crap as ours in this rain, but they were making up for lack of accuracy and quantity of bullets. When possible, we crawled behind cover as they fought to catch up to us. The exchange rose 6 stories, and the gap between the two buildings was bridged by a narrow slab of concrete. Worse, it had no cover. Even worse, again, the slippery uphill climb could be dangerous all on its own. Glory, get up there, Glory, I shouted as I swapped out the carbine. There weren't many bullets left for it, so I switched to anti-personnel fletches and picked my shots carefully. The miniature darts punched right through the flesh of our pursuers and fragmented it into dozens of very sharp lengths inside the body. I can only assume that, aside from being highly injurious, it was also painful as hell, too. Fuck yeah, it's like getting thousands of splinters inside your lungs. Right now, I'd take all I could get. Once Glory was up, P-21 was next. Once he descended the slippery slab, I turned and ran as quickly as I could. Hooves slipping and scraping as I kicked up my way up the top of the exchange building. A missile hissed past my head, blowing a chunk of the concrete wall past me. I stared across the street at the large green pony sitting atop the trough, and calmly lining up another shot with his missile launcher. Worse, I was really starting to hate that word. He got into the highest corner piece of the crumbling building, and could fire down on us with ease. I froze on the slope, wincing as the rounds bit into my flank as I swapped clips and aimed my carbine as carefully as possible. We fired at almost as one, but the missile detonated only 20 feet away, knocking him from his perch and sending the launcher flying down into the street. I could only hope it was a really long fall inside the building. Now all I needed was, sweet Celestia, why was this never easy? The top of the exchange was a hollowed-out disaster. A drop of 2 or 3 stories plunged down beneath us into a jagged mess, filling the shell of the building. While floors were missing, parts of the walls were still intact and created a fragile and thin bridges like a jigsaw puzzle. Debris and beams also bridged the voids. Looking down, though, oh fuck! Why did I look down? I quickly closed my eyes and focused on the horizontal plane. I didn't see how any pony could survive that fall. Bullets pinged off some rusty barrels stacked near the ramp. From the sound of it, they were trying to roll the barrels down the. From the sound of it, trying to roll the barrels down the ramp would at least be only a temporary distraction, and it would probably just let somebody shoot us while we were trying to shift them. Fortunately, I could see the pipe bridge coming on the side of the building. 3 stories down. A nearby concrete stairwell looked almost intact enough for us to get down, though, and better yet, it protected us from tourists. Damn, why had he stopped shooting? My eyes scanned the blown-out windows of the trough, but I couldn't see neither hide nor hoof of him, or the 2 ghosts. My mane felt like it was trying to clear off my neck. Though Glory might not have been able to fly, she was still by far the most agile of us. She hopped nimbly from beam to beam and reached the stairs before us. Come on, it's clear all the way. 2 bolts of energy lanced out from the underside of a beam below me. One struck her in the chest, a shocked expression crossing her face as she tumbled slowly down the stairs, landing limply at the first landing. I looked straight down at the black armored carapace of the Enclave power armor, sitting on the underside of the beam. I looked back up at me, and that's about the point I lost. She lost it. She just lost it. Buck, yes. About bucking time, Blackjack. And that's about the point I lost it. With a scream, I launched myself over the edge, grabbing the armor mid-plummet, and wrapped my hooves around its neck. Excuse me. Whoever spells allowed to fly and stick to the things weren't strong enough for 2 ponies. Gray armored wings tried to fly as we tumbled end over end towards the debris below. I jumped in the stats in mid-fall and sent 2 telekinetic bullets into the Pegasus' head, but the magic was ineffective against its helmet. Yeah, no kidding. Apparently, some of the gods were looking out. Some gods was looking out for me still, because when we hit the ground, I was on top. Yeah, but you like being on top, don't you, Blackjack? Even shaking to my hooves, I didn't waste any time. I felt like I just injected a dose of stampede. Me! I screamed as my magic pulled over a chunk of rebarb-studded concrete and moved my forehead. And with my forehooves helping, brought it smashing down on the power armor's helmet. Me! You killed me first. You got it! Not Glory, not P-21, not any pony till you kill me! I screamed as I brought it down again and again on her. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was her head. I paid little attention to the pain in my back and haunches as I smashed her in her visor. Blackjack, stop! Glory began from the stairs. I wanted to ignore her, but the stupid tail kept beating at me, so I pinned it beneath some rubble. Awesome! Blackjack is badass pony. I'm gonna stop geeking out now as best I can. Here was one of the Enclave that had taken her cutie mark and disgraced her. I wanted to send my magic bullet straight down the pony's throat. Ugh. One thing alone stopped me. Glory's plea. She was wrong. I could kill this soldier. It was like in Mirror. I was right. I knew better. Blackjack, stop. P-21 calmly said, Blackjack, stop. P-21 said calmly beside me. Trust me. Please. I stopped and I stopped my attack and looked down at Glory? Yes, the gray coat was a little darker, and the lavender eyes were a more purplish shade, but the face was a touch more mature. But it was a spitting image of Glory staring up at me. Glory limped down, drinking a fresh healing potion to close some of the burns on her chest. It was then I realized my barding was soaked in blood. The blade stinger had been ripping into me, and I hadn't even noticed. That's the wonders of adrenaline, kiddies. Adrenaline! That's one powerful-ass drug. And the best part is I can't make it illegal because our body makes it ourselves. Okay, I'm going to stop geeking out like a redneck on guns because I need to read the story and then I need to get to my little dashie. Glory passed me a restoration potion, and I noted with this taste that it was already turning a paler shade of purple. Still, it closed most of my injuries well enough. Glory was looking down at the Enclave soldier with an expression of sadness. Hello, Dusk. How are you, sister? Oh, shit. Why, Celestia? What? Just, why? Deus? Pecos, Zodiac, rain and lightning, and now you're throwing a family reunion at me? You don't have any. You don't have. You don't have any sisters, Morning. You left our family just like her. You destroyed father, my career, everything. Dust kissed up at me. We'll be lucky if we're not exiled from Thunderhead for this, you dodo. She glared at me. I didn't fall, sister. I'm not a Dashite. I'm still Enclave. There are things going on. Glory began in a brittle, heartbroken voice. I know all about it, Morning. You've taken up with the surface terrorist. With the surface or terrorist. With a great mechanical heave, she threw me off and rolled onto her hooves. The impact had really done a number on her shiny black armor. I really hoped that those lethal energy guns were out of commission. They're not. Off on your own selfish crusade to save the surface. Just like her. No! Glory shied back. Operative Lighthooves. He's making a disease. A bioweapon. Lighthooves was studying the surface or plague, you feather brain. Dusk roared. He was sent to determine if it was a threat. And you killed 2 Enclave and you two killed 9 Enclave soldiers for that. What? Glory said hard, her eyes wide. You two destroyed an operations base. Why? Because we weren't clearing the clouds fast enough. But because we weren't clearing the clouds fast enough? Because we weren't showing... I'm sorry. I'm very sorry. It's inappropriate. I'm sorry. Because we weren't showering the temperatures and with enough food? You don't deserve the sun, Dust shouted, pointing a hoof at P-21 and myself. And neither do you. Those energy rifles pointing right at both of us. I met a pony, a vegetarian, who contracted the rare disease, I said sharply as I stepped between her and Glory. And I'm pretty sure she got it from after eating your food. And I was sent by the Enclave with Enclave soldiers to an isolated farm that had turned raider. Again, your food was given to them. So unless the Enclave is fine with using innocent ponies to test a plague, there's more going on here. While a fury still burned in her eyes, not between them, there was a moment of hesitation. They manipulated her speech magically and branded her. Don't believe me if you want, but that's what happened. Still, I doubt my word would sway her. My word can slay ponies just by talking to them. Her dark purple eyes glared at me. The Enclave doesn't turn against its own. Ever. I chuckled. Yeah, you definitely are her sister. Now she was about to shoot me. Good. Bad as it might be for Glory, I could live with defending myself to her death. I could live with defending myself to her death. What? I'm also going to say, you try and shoot me or my friends again, and I'm making it 10 Enclave soldiers dead. Red eyes stared into purple. Neither was blinking as we waited for the other to twitch. Mere pissing matches aside. P-21. P-21 said dryly as he stepped between us, looking at the older Pegasus. You've got something to say? I fought the urge to snort. Only P-21 could come up with that. What do you want, sister? What do you want? Sister? Glory begged the question between her tears. Dust's eyes now showed some doubt, but that doubt didn't stop what came next. You're dead now, Morning Glory. That's the only way our family will survive. Father's ruined, but he's not totally shamed. I'm going to report you dead. Maybe they won't believe it, but that's what I'll report. Lose your name and the uniform and stop pretending to be one of us. Because if so much as a rumor gets out that you're still alive, I will bring my entire wing down on you. Her eyes swapped to me and she added in a hiss, and I'll be sure to kill you first. Only the fact that it would devastate Glory if I killed her stopped me from putting a metal bullet through her eye. Yeah, that sounds about right. With that, she leaped into the air, past the broken crossbeams, and hesitated only long enough to blow the ponies who had made it up the ramp into ash. She scooped up some into her pocket and her armor, into a pocket on her armor, and then, without a second look back, flew up into the stormy sky. Glory cleared slowly curled up and collapsed into a sobbing heap. We'll have to carry her. We can't stay here, I muttered as I knelt down to scoop her onto my back. A chunk of concrete rolled and smacked me upside the head. Ugh, sending me staggering into the side. A length of rusty rebar followed it as I was barely deflected by my pit buck. She abuses that pit buck. Holy crap. Both levitating up anything heavy or jagged, the two ghostly unicorns had the audacity to look sad. Sorry about this, the first said softly with an apologetic smile as she stabbed at me with another piece of rebar. But Deus is already up here and on his way, and we really need to finish her off quickly. The second said as she floated towards me. I pulled out my shotgun, but the shot was just as ineffective now as it had been earlier. If it's any consolation, we're sorry about your friend, the first said as she moved around to the side. I can't imagine how badly it hurt to lose family. Wait, didn't Rampage kill Leo? I asked as I watched the one float above me with her rebar weapon. They glanced at each other and giggled. Oh, she did worse than kill him. Said one as she flew at me with a solidified just fast enough to kick me upside the head with her full weight. I tried to blast her, but she went ghost too fast. Then the rusted steel hit the side of my head. She wasn't very strong, but grabbing the weapon with my magic just made her pick up something new to hit me with. The second came flying out from the floor. Solidified gave my chin a rear leg buck that knocked me to the ground. She broke his gun and his legs, Minnie. Jem giggled as she resumed beating on me with rebar while her sister kept flanking me. And his face. His poor face, Minnie said as she kicked out at my rear legs. It did knock me down, but every hit was wearing at me. I kept trying to shoot at them, but they kept using that damn intangibility spell. The cheaters! Then I looked over at P-21 next to Glory. They screamed when he threw at the grenade he'd thrown. Why? P-21, what was that grenade he used? He looked at me, his eyes widening in comprehension. Magic! Oh shit. Oh, magic! This drops! Fuck yeah! I dropped the shotgun and raced towards Glory. No! One shot one with the rebarb as she speared it into Glory's beam pistol. The casing cracked open with a sparkle of rainbow light. I rolled over, yanking the disintegration pistol from her bow saddle with my teeth. I had no clue how to use it. I just had to get them. If I couldn't, then they'd bludgeon me to death. I wasn't exactly a good shot with the disintegration pistol, but I could at least put it in the right general direction and fire. The deadly pink bolts raced through the air, forcing the translucent mares to keep dodging. A bolt finally struck one of them, and she screamed, solidifying in midair and jumping towards the jagged debris. At the last second, she ghosted again and disappeared through the floor. So a hit from the disintegration pistol would disrupt whatever it is, let them fly and pass through walls. If I could disrupt them with one shot, I could take them out with a second. Of course, that would mean I'd have to hit them twice. But it was the only thing I could do. I kept focusing as I fired pink bolt after pink bolt. Then the gun died. I stared at the cartridge and tried to figure out how to eject it. For that matter, what was I going to reload it with? At that moment, one of the mares launched herself at me through a collapsed wall. Now, Jem, finish! My magical bullet fired, striking Minnie in the torso, and just like that she stopped, staring at me with a horrified look on her face. Her very solid face. She hung there like a decoration, half her body on one side of the wall, half her body on the other. Oh, she whispered softly. That's not good. Minnie! Screamed Jem, hovering in front of her sister. Go, Ghostly! Do it! I can't. I don't think the spell works inside something, she said softly. I can't feel my legs. Aww. That's make me sad. Well, we have awesomeness coming up next. And don't worry. You'll figure out why not to worry pretty soon. Jem solidified before my eyes. The three of us had forgotten that she held her as she held her sister. The three of us forgotten as she held her sister. No, do it, do it. She begged as she changed ghostly and passed her hooves to her sister. Minnie, go ghostly, please. Again and again she solidified and desolidified, trying to get her sister to do the same. Looking on, wishing that Minnie could somehow free herself. I looked on, wishing Minnie could somehow free herself. Jem finally threw her forelegs on her twin sister, sobbing brokenly. I'm sorry. I said lamely, I didn't mean to kill her. I meant to kill her, but I hadn't meant for this. Minnie looked at me with a small smile. It's okay. We were trying to kill you. It's only fair. Somehow that made me feel even worse as the trapped mare gently stroked her sibling's mane. It's okay, Jem. It doesn't hurt at all. Yeah, the Gemini's alright. Forgiving to a fault. Oh, and in case anybody's wondering, forgiveness is my virtue. Jem? Minnie? A male said from behind us, standing on the pipes leading to the safety of the green buck. Leading to safety was the green buck. He must have started moving the second we were out of sight. If Gemini hadn't slowed us down, he wouldn't have had the time to head us off. I whirled, looking at the stallion as he panted for breath, his sides gleaming with sweat. His gun was slung across his neck, though. Something about him reminded me of Big Macintosh. His dying sister seemed worth infinitely more to him than Caps. Oh no, Minnie! He whispered as he walked past us without a second glance. We should go. Now, P-21 said softly as he gestured to the now vacant pipe bridge that passed over the fence and into another ruin just outside the south gate. Looking around and venturing with a cautious check to the street, I couldn't see a lot of Pecos. In fact, I couldn't see much of anything moving except us, the three Zodiacs, and the rain. Then I heard a soft mechanical click overhead. The pipe bridge exploded. Of course it exploded! Not from a bomb, of course, but from the two massive cannons that sent a heavy boom thumping through the building. With a rusty squeal and a spray of fetid, stinking water, the remains of the old pipe tore free of the building and tumbled down into the gap below. Standing there on top of the ramp, the rain sheeting off his cannons smoked, looming Deus. The rain sheeting off him as his cannons smoked, loomed Deus. The pony who had made my life a living hell for the last 2 weeks or so. Done. This running is finished. He growled. We're done. This running is finished. He growled as he looked down at the three of us, then over at the three Zodiacs. His red eyes widened and chuckled. Is that little cunt stuck in the wall? I stared. That's not funny. That's not funny at all. I started to move, but B-21 got in my way. Hold still. Hold the fuck still. I need this. He growled as he reached up with his hooves and did something to the front of my collar. To my amazement, it fell right off. I blinked at him, feeling overwhelmed. Too much shit was happening right now, and I felt like my brain had just gotten whiplash trying to determine what to feel. He looked right in my eyes, though, and said softly, "We still need to talk. So live long enough for that." He smiled. Then he smiled at me. Plan boom. So there was a plan. Yeah, I muttered, looking at Deus, wondering how the hell I was going to beat him. First, this is just too pathetic for words, so... He swung his barrels down toward the two pale unicorns. First, the distractions. Stay away from my sister, you metal son of a bitch! Stay away from my sisters, you metal son of a bitch! Taurus shouted as he backed away, then gritted his teeth around his rifle's handle, and, kicking through the rubble, expertly fired shot after shot at the massive reaper above us. Our eyes met, both of us mirroring the other's apology. This was his way to make it up to me. This was my chance to make it up to him. I'd kill his sister. The least I could do was see to it that she wasn't blasted for his sadist amusement. The rifle was loaded with some kind of armor-piercing rounds, and as I scrambled up the concrete steps, I was glad to see them punching holes in the Cyber Pony's hide. Damn, those are like AP plus. Or AP plus plus. Damn. What I hate to see was how those holes didn't seem to be more than annoyances to him. He shifted his stance and swung 2 cannons over to point down at the Green Earth Pony. The shots echoed like thunder, pouring into the remnants of the building. The structure began to groan and sway as his cannons blasted Tauros with explosive shells. The large green pony couldn't run from the debris. Couldn't run in the debris. He couldn't hide from the blasting cannons. So he died. One down. Deus said as I reached the level he was on, my shotgun low with slugs. I had no clue how I was going to stop him. I just knew I'd either do it or die trying. His eyes narrowed as he smirked. Are you finally done running, cunt? Yeah, I muttered, as I looked back across the beams and walls that crossed the void beneath us. You're not afraid of going to blow us up? I said, lifting my pit buck as I glanced down at P-21 working on something. Glad one of us had a plan. Nah, see, when you have guns like these, I don't have to hit you. I just have to hit near you. Splash damage, kiddies! That's why I love explosives. Kills only counts with horseshoes and hand grenades. That's why I love hand grenades. It's almost over. Then I need to go to my little dashy, which is also a long story. It's 10:40, so I'll be able to do that, and then I'll cry myself to sleep. Yes, I am fully expecting to cry because I cried listening to freaking Mike the Mike read that thing. And I was playing freaking Fallout at the time. So, yeah. That. And with triggered by a thought, the firing mechanism gave a loud metal click before the guns roared. And I was running as the blast took off top of the steps in the shower of rubble. I am not the nimblest of ponies, but right now I kept my focus on blasting him with slugs and moving ahead of the clockwork explosions ripping the ruins apart behind me. I could only hope that no pony below was buried in falling rubble. I didn't aim. I simply fired as fast as my shotgun allowed. He didn't run or dodge. The lead pancaked and fractured off his armored hide, and all I could do was keep moving. Excuse me. I took a sip a second ago. See, I can pause at any time, and it will be seamless. So I could have paused it 100 times, and you won't know unless you got the ears of a freaking bat. So, or fennec, because those things are like satellite dishes. You can pick up satellite on those things. Sweet Luna. All right. Firing and keep praying that whatever P-21 was doing would work. When I tried to sprint to point blank range, he blew the beam out ahead of me, grinning and saying something that was lost in the ringing in my ears. Worse, my legs were starting to go numb from the constant battering concussion. One misstep and he wouldn't have to shoot me. I wasn't fast enough. I wasn't strong enough. I had to be more. I flipped in the stats and tried to think of something. Nothing around me would be so very useful. My inventory. I lacked the explosives and the knowledge to use them. My shotgun was my strongest weapon, and it wasn't doing anything today except amusing him. I needed what I shouldn't use. I had them. Glory hadn't taken them from me. I could use them. I knew I was wrong. It was wrong and stupid. It was going to get me killed, but then so was Mr. Deus. So was Mr. Cyber Pony's shooting spree. I had to do better. I had to talk to P-21. I had to make this better for Glory. I had to give Minnie some peace before she died. I had to. Buck, Rage Medic's Flash. Flash. So that's what was in that. Hey! Sorry, my cat tried to come in. And he likes to walk on the keyboards, which one time gave me a blue screen of death. Yeah. Buck Rage Medic's Flash. I dropped sads and then pulled open my pack because I kept dodging. I chewed and injected like a fiend, trying to close the distance at the same time. Damn me. It felt good. When the flash hit my system, the world crawled to a halt. It was almost like I was back in SATs, but I could still move. When the drug wore off, Deus found me in his face. Rather, my shotgun in his face. I fired 4 SATs guided rounds at point-blank range, and a little shield popped up on my EFS with each. Even now, he was way too tough for my weapons to touch. I didn't give a shit. For all his pistons and steel, he was still a pony, and I forced my way underneath him. Gonna give me a blowjob. He laughed as he smashed my shotgun with one hoof. It would be his last laugh. Then he screamed. I had a feeling he'd never screamed like that before. I prayed to the goddesses that this was one injury, no matter how superficial, that he couldn't regenerate or heal. Oh! With my final, extremely satisfying medic shot, I gelded God. Oh, go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Blackjack, go Blackjack. Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. You gelded Deus Ex Machina. All sadistic banter went away as he stomped and kicked wildly. To stay underneath him was to be rendered into a bloody paste. Oh yeah, you'll find out why. Bloody paste. I hooked my hooves around the ammo feed on one of his guns and was jerked out from under him, flipping onto his back. All I could do was hang on for dear life, biting into his mane to keep from slipping off as he reared and kicked in a frenzy of his own. One swing would have me tossed out over the edge, if not for my hoof being caught on in his ammo feed. Finally, he managed to get his teeth on my mane and pull. I felt my flesh tear, but more terrifying was that I was yanked from his back and thrown into the interior of the building. By pure luck, I slammed into a metal pipe and wrapped my hooves around it desperately, dangling over the jagged floor 2 stories down. I looked up at Deus, my neck throbbing despite the painkillers, as he stared at me with maddened eyes. He wasn't going to shoot near me. He was going to render me into bloody paper and fuck EC-1101. Looking at the ruins between his hindquarters, I couldn't blame. Oh, ow! I know this is Deus and he deserves everything he's getting, even this, but being a male, this phantom sympathetic pain. Ow, ouchie, ouchie. Yes, it does physically hurt and a phantom pain type thing, because you know how when like if you're a male, you see another male get kicked in the groin hard and their groin hurt, it just makes your own groin hurt. Yeah, it's kind of like that, only I'm imagining like ground meat back there. Ow. Ow. Yeah. A white unicorn ghost floated up in front of him with a slave collar stuffed with dynamite on her left and a detonator on her right. Jem, no! I screamed as she went solid, bit the end of the duct tape off and pulled it off the glowing detonator as she began to fall. The explosive blew me right off the pipe. I hit the landing of the concrete stairs, then flopped down the steps limply like a doll. I had thought that I heard Deus scream before. I was wrong. Rearing up on his hind legs, the flayed reaper's mechanical mouth gaped, forcing a shattered jaw to stretch impossibly wide. His articulated metal windpipe released a horrible noise as flaps of skin dangled from him. Broken pieces of skull clung to an armored sphere that was horribly attached to his mechanical spine. The bilious fluids pouring from the tubes along his throat and chest oozed and steamed in the rain. And still, he wasn't dead. Shit. He really is Deus Ex Machina. One red eye camera focused right on me, and then pointed his cannons at my prostrate form. Const! An electronic speaker crackled. The cannon's firing mechanism clicked, and the cannons, the barrels of which were now fouled from the blast and his mad thrashing, backfired. The explosion of the shells tore his cybernetic body in two. The magazines went off a second later, and with that, the exterior corner of the wall gave way, tumbling, tumbling outward, as the ruined stone collapsed like a house of cards. Sections of the other walls followed it down, and it was only by luck that we weren't crushed. Good and bad luck. I looked at P-21 and the still trembling Glory. Both alright. No, not alright. None of us were alright, but we were alive. And so was Minnie. Slowly, I made my way towards where she was still breathing shallow little gulps. I fluttered out Cupcake's revolver. Minnie, I said quietly, though with the ringing in my ears, everything felt quiet. I was numb from horn to hoof. Hey, she gave a soft smile. It's the security pony. She said quietly as she hung there. Where's Jem and Taurus? She had to go. I looked over at the rubble heaps and the motionless green head poking out of it. They left. They left. They got away. Please, if there's any goodness in all of Equestria, let her believe me. They're fine. They're both just fine. That's good. Jem does silly things without me, she said quietly as she looked at me. Red eyes just like my own, crying just like my own. And as her lips trembled, I wasn't that good a liar. Were it not for the mane, I might have been looking into a mirror as she asked, Are you going to finish it? I couldn't say it. I could only nod as my eyes blurred with tears. Her lips smiled as she whispered, Thank you. I wrapped my hooves around her, hugging her as I levitated the gun under her chin. Pull the trigger. Pull the trigger. Pull the goddess's damn trigger. Damn it, you bony son of a bitch. Let me be able to do this. I sobbed as I held her, shaking and pouring everything I could into this. 5 pounds of pressure was all I needed. Pull the motherfucking trigger, Blackjack. Do it. Do it. Please, for love of Celestia, do it. I begged myself. I'm sorry, I sobbed, gritting my teeth together, clenching my eyes closed, wishing it was my head that the gun was pressed against. Minnie just laughed softly. You're a good pony, Miss Blackjack. I felt the second unicorn's magic on the gun. One last gunshot sounded across flank. Man, that's. Let's just move on, please. This is starting to feel like I'm reading My Little Dashie for some odd reason. Oh, and by the way, every pony, this one's gonna be 2 hours. You're welcome. The mournful tones of a cello came from my pipbuck and filled the rainy air alongside the slow, heavy notes of a piano. The hushing sigh of rain pattered over the rubble as around us complemented the sorrowful music. Looking at the clouds, I was too dead within to care about the sensation of being swallowed by the sky. I wanted it to swallow me, send me to the stars. It was over. If there was any pony still after me, they were dead or had fled. I couldn't care which. I felt hollow inside. The only hint that I wasn't just another corpse littering the wasteland was my buck withdrawn heart thudding in my chest. I sat under an overhang on the edge of the exchange, looking out at the pouring rain. I was alive. Deus was dead. Another fucking win. Yay. Glory only pulled herself together enough to take off the black Enclave uniform and toss it over the edge. She looked like she wanted to follow it. Instead, she just curled up out of the rain beside me, staring into the gray downpour. I'm sorry, but I'm so sorry. Sad for little little Glory. I mean, to not only lose your family, but to have your own sister disown you, and to have to leave the only thing you know, the only life you know. It's I'm sorry, every pony. That's I can only imagine one fate worse, and that's mm, the one depicted in My Little Dashie. Yeah, I'm gonna cry. I know I'm gonna cry. All right. Rampage had jumped up to us. I was so numb, I didn't care how she did it. Congratulations, you're a Reaper now if you want it. Even with the rain, the striped pony looked like she'd been put through a meat grinder. I couldn't think of how many she'd killed below. I didn't want to care about ponies trying to kill me anymore. I just wanted to burn that part out of me. It'd be easier to rip out my own heart. Is it worth it? I asked as the cold water dripped into my eyes. She didn't answer right away. Not really, but it's better than being alone, she said as she gazed out at the rain with a distant, sad expression. Finally, she sighed and muttered, Fuck, I hate this modeling shit. She stood. I'm gonna go wait for 69 to open. I need something. Bad. She hopped down from 3 stories, then walked down a road strewn with dismembered corpses. Yeah, that's Rampage. One tough little bitch. P-21 slowly trotted over and lay down beside me. I flung Cupcake's revolver over to him and laid it at his hooves. Here, you deserve this, I muttered quietly as the rain poured over me. And my browser is frozen. Yay! Let's pause it while until it unfreezes. Okay, I'm back. That didn't take too long at all. Okay. What's this for? He asked softly, nudging it with his hoof. Justice, was all I said. He looked at me and then nodded once. He reached down and took it into his mouth, teeth tightening on the handle. Slowly he pointed it at me. Spears of maize blood still glistened on the end. I wondered if it would hurt. I hope so. I deserve it. I deserved for it to hurt. Then he tossed the gun into the street below. The hell? That's a good gun. Oh well. I looked down after it, seeing the dull metallic flickering in the neon lights. Why? Was all I could ask. After what I did to you. I don't blame you for stable 99, he said softly. Not anymore. For a while I did, but if we were there right now, would you put yourself on the breeding queue? I shook my head dumbly. Would you blow away the overmare at any point who tried to keep that sick place going? I nodded and he let out a breath. Then for stable 99, I can forgive you, he said simply. I closed my eyes. And for you 20, I felt him stiffen beside me, sucking in a breath. You loved him. You loved him and I beat him to death in front of you. Damn, Blackjack. Harsh much? The longest silence yet was followed by a quiet, no, not for that. I closed my eyes, imagining what the dead weight in my chest was. Imagining that the dead weight in my chest was whatever was left in my heart. Then why not kill me? Why didn't you kill me when we first escaped? Or when I killed Scoodle? Or any of the other times? I asked as I stared at him. Yeah. I wanted to. I still want to. A little. And I don't think that will ever go away. I still see it. I still feel it. And no matter what, that murder and Stable 99 are a part of me, he said as he bowed his head. And then he looked at me. But for as long as I've known you, I've known you're something special. You could have killed both of us out of spite, out of sadistic glee. I know Daisy would have. You could have let Daisy take me. You could have left me for Deus when we fled Stable 99. When we fled 99. You could have killed Scoodle and blamed her for her death. You could have left the killing of 40 psychotic foals up to mere glory. You just fought the scariest fucking monster in the wasteland while trying to defend 3 ponies that were out to kill you, Blackjack. Time and time again, the wasteland gives you the easier path, and you refuse to take it. You could have just given EC 101 over. You could have not cared about 99. You could have just left me to die, or the Crusaders, or glory. You take the hard road no matter how damn much it hurts you, and I can only watch in awe as you keep walking it. And every time I think you're going to do what's wrong and easy, you surprise me. I couldn't do it. I would have cut the deal the second I was alone outside 99. But you're sticking it out, trying to find out what makes the damn thing so important. You walked the hard road, Blackjack. And sorry, but you deserve this. I clenched my eyes shut. He hugged me. He actually hugged me. At that point, everything fell apart and broken sobbing as the assorted fucked up emotions filling that great big hollowness within me poured forth. And I felt Glory silently lay back down beside me as well, holding me in her hooves. I pressed my face into the wet concrete. I may not have been forgiven, but at least I was cared for. I wasn't alone on this hard road. She makes me so proud. She's not alone. I too walk the hard road. Although in this life it's not that hard, but sometimes it can be. Footnote: level up. New perk added. Action Mare, rank 1. 15 plus action points. Skill note: melee 100. Damn, Blackjack. You must be a pretty good pony. Well, that is the end of Volume 1 of Project Horizons. So yeah, this has been Chapter 16 of Fallout Equestria, Project Horizons. Chapter 16, Walk the Hard Road. Next, I shall read My Little Dashie, as requested by some random fucking pony, because I can't bring their names up right now. But I'm already feeling like I'm ready to cry. And I will do it tonight, if it kills me. I promise you that. You have my word. So, for this recording, Nightlife out.